allow your natural ability to take over. The reason why you're a major leaguer, the reason why you're in the NBA, the reason why you're in the NFL is because you're special.
Walk us through the transition of being a baseball player into now an announcer, broadcaster.
Okay, so I'm going to reveal a secret here. I want it to be authentic. I want it to be real. I want it to be coming from here and here.
But how do you overcome mental block? In baseball, you go in a slump. It can feel your career. I mean, you can start to mentally go down a path. How do you handle some of that stuff?
A lot of people say, well, trust the process. I was always trust your journey.
Dusty had a particularly special role in your life.
Dusty Baker saved my life.
All right, well, welcome to another episode of Flip Your Friday. I'm your host, Wynn Silberman. This is my co-host, Casey LeBlanc. Casey, we have a very special guest today, and Jerry Hairston Jr. And, you know, before we get into this, I just want to remind the audience, like, why we're here. You know, you and I made a promise this year that we wanted to bring people on as guests who had really, really tough schedules, who were doing really, really elite things, and wanted to hope for the audience to glean something from their success and apply it to their own lives, okay? And with that, let me give you a little background on Jerry, and then we'll kind of start from there. 15-year pro in the MLB?
Well, 16-year, but who's counting?
Okay.
Your pocketbook is counting.
Yeah, a World Series ring with the New York Yankees?
Correct, 2009.
Did you have a winning base hit for that, or something happened that was pretty good?
I scored a winning run,
Okay.
walk-off run in the ALCS Game 2.
Okay, that's what it was. And I believe you're one of the few athletes that actually have the keys to the city of New York?
True. When we won the championship in 2009 with the Yankees, that 25-man roster, we also got a key to the city. So whenever I go to New York City, I'm basically above the law. So that's a good feeling.
That's a really good feeling.
That's why we're going after this, huh?
Yeah.
What does that actually, we could just start there. What does that actually, what do they give you, and what does it actually mean? So I've heard this term a lot.
So listen, we got the ring, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But Mayor Bloomberg, who was the mayor at the time, he presented all of us with the key to the city. It's actually this big.
I've seen it. It's beautiful.
Incredible. And he presented each of us a key to the city. So it was just a gift for the city. Because, listen, up until that point, the Yankees, you know, obviously a historic franchise, they've been used to winning World Series. And they hadn't won one since 2000. So they lost in 2001 to the D-backs, and it had some hiccups along the way. So it had been a long time up until that point for Yankee fans in Yankee City. It was in 9 years winning a championship. It's been further now because the Yankees hadn't won a championship since. But at that time, 9 years felt like 90 years to Yankee fans.
That's phenomenal. And
do you just kind of wear like Flavor Flav or something, like when you go out to New York and just like, hey.
Maybe I should.
I think you should.
I mean, because I've always heard that term. I've never known what people do with it. You just put it on your wall and...
I have it in a safe place.
In a safe place.
In my house.
All right, that's cool.
But you know, when I go, especially with inflation now, I should wear it.
Yeah.
Especially in New York City, maybe get free meals out of it.
I think you could score a couple meals. That'd be good. But speaking about meals, you continue to score a little bit. Let's just go a little further into your history and then really dig into this. I mean, it's not just the Yankees. You've played on the Dodgers. You've played on the Baltimore Orioles. You've played with the Washington Nationals, the Chicago Cubs, the Ricketts family, and many more teams. But one of the things that I thought that our audience would really enjoy is to kind of start with something that I think is probably the most unique thing that I've ever heard from an athlete's family, which is you have a third generational legacy in Major League Baseball. Your grandfather played, your father played, you played, and your brother Scotty played all in the Major League Baseball. The chances of even one of you hitting a ball in Major League Baseball, the odds are insane. So can you talk to me a little bit about that legacy, starting with your grandfather and playing with like Satchel Paige? I mean, I just think it's a cool story to start.
Listen, first of all, we're very fortunate. You know, our family, even though we've had a lot of players play major leagues, we all have something in common. We love the game of baseball. You know, it started with my grandfather. You know, my uncles also played. My Uncle Sam, he probably would have been a major leaguer. He was a really good infielder, but he got called to duty. And he went to Vietnam for several years. Wow. So he had a chance. That kind of derailed his baseball career. But my Uncle John also played briefly for the 69 Cubs. He had a devastating knee injury, you know, back then.
Oh, yeah. ACL back then, you're dead.
And he was a catcher. So you can't really
bend down anymore.
Can't bend down anymore. So that derailed his career. But started with my grandfather. My grandfather was a man's man. He started working in the steel mill in Birmingham, Alabama, in that area when he was 14, 15 years of age, to help out my great-grandfather, who was a little sick at the time, and he had 14 kids.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
So as
a lot of children.
Yeah, a lot of children. So as the oldest boy of the family, he had to help out the family.
Sure.
That's just how things were done back then. Got to survive. And then he latched on to the Steel Mills baseball team. And, he started playing and he started thriving. And I guess years have gone by. He had to be a certain age to sign a professional contract in the Negro Leagues. He lied about his age. He lied that he was older than he actually was.
Wow.
But that's how you needed to do. You had to support your family. So
a lot of people lied about the draft. I mean, to get drafted.
Yeah. So
what year is this for some context?
So my grandfather was born in 1920.
Okay.
So this was around, if I were to guess, 36, 37. So he signs with the Negro Leagues, and he played against and played with barnstorming teams. Satchel Paige, played against Josh Gibson, one of the greatest hitters, if not the greatest hitter of all time. And he just was passionate about the game of baseball. Played in the Negro League for several years. Played with Willie Mays. Played with Hank Aaron when they were babies. He was a veteran at that time. And finally got a chance to play in the big leagues. Signed with the White Sox. He was the 9th black player to play in the major leagues. The first black American to play for Chicago White Sox.
Wow.
So, again, I know I'm kind of going on a little bit.
No, that gives me goosebumps. I mean,
But, it started with him.
Yeah, sure.
It started with him. So I know it's been some time since I played, but, I was known for a guy that didn't take anything for granted. I wasn't the most talented guy. I wasn't the biggest guy. I wasn't the fastest guy. But I played hard. Part of the reason why is because the family that I came up, I was instilled in us. If you're going to play this game, you got to play it right. You show up. If you're banged up, bruised up, you're playing. No excuse. So I got that from my grandfather, my uncles, and my dad. So I mentioned earlier my uncles played. I have a brother, Scott, who played several years, played 10 years in the big leagues, a lot with the San Diego Padres.
Which you played too. With the
I did. We played together.
You played with half of the teams in the MLB, right?
True. I usually wear out my.
Total?
It was 9, but I usually wear out my welcome after.
Okay. Yeah. No, but that's.
I don't know if you guys can pick up on this. I'm pretty talkative.
I'm actually hoping this cut's right about now.
I want to ask about that, but not. I want to get through the family stuff because I think that's really important. You mentioned something about, you got to show up, you got to play through stuff. What are some other things that your father specifically, and then maybe taught you and your brother that you can remember as being not just baseball but life?
I think, with sports, I think it especially baseball, it mirrors life. It's every day. Things aren't always going to go your way. Let's say in basketball, I played basketball, loved it. There's not a whole lot of variables in basketball. You're in the gym, there's no wind, right? There's no rain. The rim is not moving. So if I'm at the free throw line, it's all on me. If I do everything right, I'm going to make the shot because there's no variable. There's nobody guarding you, right? Baseball, you can do everything right and still make outs, right? Or you can be like Barry Bonds. Hey, you're so good, you ain't going to hit. We're gonna walk you, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of variables in baseball where you can do everything right and you can be 0 for 3 with 3 lineouts. You didn't do nothing, just like life. You can do everything right. You're a great person.
There's no promises.
There's no promises. So I think baseball really prepares you for life, and I think people can take something from that is you got to keep grinding. Okay, it didn't go your way today, but it can go your way tomorrow.
People get stuck on that, though, right? Like, this is a big one, and it's
very
really
big
important.
One.
So let's just say a lot of times when people hit 3-line drives, they go 0 for 3. In life, in baseball, doesn't matter. You hit a mental block. Let's talk about how do you overcome mental blocks, because in baseball, you go in a slump, it can feel your career. I mean, you can start to mentally go down a path that it's hard to course correct. How do you handle some of that stuff?
So, a lot of people say, well, trust the process. I was always trust your journey, Now, your journey, my journey is a little different. A process is something that I feel like I can't really control, but I can control my own journey, right? So what I mean by that is I step up a plate. If I barrel baseballs up, even if I don't get a hit, that was my journey. I did what I needed to do
that day.
So that is a check, right? Because if I do that more times than not, if I post every single day and do what I need to do, then I know I'm going to have success. So let's say you're out doing deals, right? If you're a business person, if I'm prepared, if I know I got my message across, then I know more times than not I'm going to win. That person may not want that or may not or can't afford it at the time. It's not you. It was that person.
Control the controllable.
Control the controllable. So the next person.
Consistency being almost the main one.
Exactly.
For you, right? I mean, would you say that consistency is probably pretty important in sports and business?
Critical.
Yeah.
Yeah, life, the discipline and consistency over and over and over if you're doing the right things. Yeah.
I think, too, as kids, parents, sometimes even, I don't get as much now, but even when I played, I got, do you ever fear of you have that fear of striking out? Do you ever fear of not playing well? I learned this by growing up watching Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was asked, when the game's on the line, you're thinking about the process, you're thinking about your journey. What is it like when you think about you're going to miss that shot at the end? And Michael Jordan says, never in my life do I think of missing the shot.
Yeah.
I can control my mind. Every time I take that shot in my mind, I make it. Every time. Not 99% of the time, 100% of the time, in my mind, I know I'm going to make it. So when he's in that position at the end of the game, he's already made that shot. So he's prepared. So I think that's the biggest key, whether it's in sports, business, whatever you want to do in life, you got to prepare your mind that this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to be successful 100% of the time in my mind. So you get out there in the real world, guess what? In business, if you're successful 50% of the time,
shoot,
I think you.
It's basically. I think it's like 1 in 10 startups hit.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
a lot less than that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's
was there something with your father or through parenting or even maybe you as a dad? Is there something that that you're talking about or you're coaching or you were taught or coached that resonates with that? I think people get stuck, and that's the number one spot they get stuck in.
I think my father always stressed, and it kind of basically what Michael Jordan lived, how he lived, is control what you can control. So I would walk at bats with my dad. Dad lined out. I popped up, hit a double, and I hit the ball deep to center field. I was 1 for 3 with a walk. Hit the ball hard. You hit the ball hard? Great.
And think about that.
Because
1 for 3 is a successful day.
Great day. But it's all about control what you can control. And here's another thing, too. I got this from my grandfather, and I got this from my father as well. Sometimes you're not going to feel your best. He goes, most of the time, you play 100 games, there are going to be 50 games where it's just not there. But guess what? Are you digging in that box? Are you fighting that guy on the mound? I think we've gotten away with that in sports. I know in baseball, it's so, okay, my swing, it's so I got to be in this position, launch angle. It has gotten so technical. We have taken the fight out of.
Or the art or the spirit. Yeah.
So, even with kids, he goes,
I love that.
Bro, when you're in the batter's box, it's over.
Play the game. You've practiced. You've done your repetitions. Exactly. Now don't think.
Don't think. It's about, you've done all the stuff you need to do in the cage. Yeah. When you're in that batter's box in a game, now it's me against you, period. That's it.
Right.
I'm not thinking about where my hands are. I'm not thinking about, how can you? It's like being in a fight.
If you're thinking about it at that point, it's way too late.
It's over.
Right? It's the routine. You should have been doing this, batting practice, all that stuff. So in the game, now you're competing.
Which exactly translates to business if you're trying to make a sale, for example, right? You're not thinking about
preparation.
Your preparation. You're when you're on, you're not thinking about what you're trying to do. You have it. It's going through your mouth naturally.
So are you seeing, I don't want to jump around too much, but it's an interesting point. Are you seeing in the game today players get too wrapped in maybe mechanics versus just the grind of competing? And maybe just walk us through what some of your takes are on that.
You're exactly right. I think first of all, our young players don't get enough credit. and I don't want it to get so far along the line where it really starts to hinder the youth, and it's really attacking, I would say, at the youth level, because my son is playing college ball right now. He's 19 years old, and I saw it when he was a little younger, and I see it at the big league level too. I think, paralysis by analysis is a real thing.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
I want all the information, but then once I have the information, let me decipher it. So this is why I brought that up. Allow your natural ability to take over. The reason why you're a major leaguer, the reason why you're in the NBA, the reason why you're in the NFL is because you're special. You are special, okay? If it was all analytics, anybody can do it, right? Yeah. Let's say, the Dodgers are elite. They just only use analytics. No, they don't. Yes, they use analytics, but they make sure they have the players capable of taking those analytics and doing
and winning
amazing things with it. So if it was just about analytics, we wouldn't have signed Shohei Ohtani. We would have signed Mookie Betts or traded for him and then signed them. We wouldn't have signed Freddie Freeman. We need special players to be able to do special things with the information. So it's not all information. It's a making sure that our guys understand that they're special, okay? And don't be so robotic, because everybody's different. Shohei's different than Mookie.
I feel like that's a role of confidence, right? Yeah. That's the balance. We talk about ego sometimes, and the balance between and the importance of ego. I mean, it can shift. Ego can be a problem in a locker room. Right?
Yeah.
But if you don't have the confidence instilled in you when you're at the plate, it's just never going to happen.
Confidence is huge, man.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with Barry Bonds. This is in 2004. I got off to a slow start. I just came off an injury, and I was probably hitting about $130 with 25 at bats, and it was in a rain delay. We're in the Orioles locker room, but in the corner, it's a huge gym, whatever. So Barry comes in and is talking to one of my teammates, and they were just talking about hitting. And I'm listening to Barry Bonds, and he goes, "Dude, I'm just struggling right now, because man, you don't have a whole lot of at bats." He goes, "What do you think about when you walk up to the plate?" Huh? Yeah. What are you thinking about when you're walking up to the plate?
Interesting.
Nobody's asked me that before.
Right.
I've been asked, how do you feel at the plate, or what's going through your mind at the plate?
I've always wondered, do you have to for me, I was never.
Would you let finish? I'm at the edge of my seat
Go
right
ahead.
now.
This is great. Okay, sorry.
See what I got to deal with all the
time? No, you and me both. Are you kidding me?
So, I'm sitting there talking, and Barry Bonds tells me, "Listen, when you walk up to the plate, when I walk up to the plate, I don't care if Ken Griffey Jr. is in Seattle right now. I don't care if Frank Thomas is in Chicago right now. When I'm walking up to the plate at this very moment, I'm the best hitter in the world." He goes, "You need to start thinking like that." He didn't tell me anything about mechanics. He didn't tell me about pitch selection. He told me, walk up to the plate, and you got to believe that you're the best hitter right now in the world.
Sure.
So, what I got to lose? I'm hitting $130. I'm not even hitting my weight right now. So I started to do that, okay? Walking to the plate right now, I'm the best. Before I leave the on-deck circle, I'm walking up. I'm the best hitter in the world right now. But I would say that every at-bat.
So let me ask you a question, because I think that's a fucking amazing story, by the way.
That's really
so
cool.
glad we course-corrected our friend over here. But did you even say that when you didn't even believe it?
Yes.
Right? You have to say that over and over and over, no matter what you actually
I had to say it over and over and over again, and I had to take myself out of the at-bat. Sometimes I call time.
And
best
say,
hitter in the world in mine.
Right.
I ended up hitting 303 that season. Okay.
Would you say that really flipped the switch?
Flipped the switch, because it was mindset. And what it also did, it took me away from my problem. I don't feel good. I just don't feel it right now.
Just will it.
It went from that to I'm positive. Then it allowed my natural ability to take over or be as good as I possibly can be. I'm not Barry Bonds. I'm not Ken Griffey Jr. I'm not them. But it allowed me to be the best Jerry Hairston Jr. I could be. That changed.
When you retired and you go into other aspects of your life, does that do you walk us through like how that works today? Because that's
walk us through the
that's
transition.
evergreen. That's an evergreen concept for everybody.
Walk us through the transition of being from a baseball player into now you're an announcer, broadcaster. I mean, that's got to be almost tough at first, right?
So,
you're leaving the game. Like, talk about the emotions.
Okay, so I'm going to reveal a secret here.
Okay.
When I do broadcast, do the pre and post game show for the Dodgers, we have an incredible crew. Work with John Hartong, who's the best in the business. He's our point guard. He's the broadcaster. We have analysts. I'm the analyst, along with Nomar Garcia-Parra, Oral Hershiser. Just an incredible group. Dontre Willis.
Yeah. I always think of the hat.
So many guys. Yeah. Eric Karros also. Joe Davis, who's a rock star.
Yeah, he's
NFL
great.
And Major League Baseball with the Dodgers.
Announcer.
He kills it. Does the World Series too.
So on that watch.
We have such an elite team, man.
Yeah.
And it's so I'm very fortunate. So I've been doing this now. We're coming up on 11 years. I retired in 13. I walked right into being a broadcaster. Now, I prepared to be a broadcaster. Did stuff for ESPN, MLB Network as a player.
So you were building.
I was building. And then Lon Rosen, who's one of the owners of the Dodgers, does a terrific job, obviously, with the Dodgers. He grabbed me and said, hey, when you're done playing, you're going to be a broadcaster with us.
That's awesome.
So, I owe a lot to Lon. So I'll tell you a little secret. If we're on at 6 o'clock, pregame 6 to 7, obviously I watched the game before, night before. I know the game. I know the players. I talk to the players. But I make sure I'm not on set at 5 o'clock. I'm not. I don't want to take notes. I don't want to write. Okay? I want it to be authentic. I want it to be real. I want it to be coming from here and here. Okay? So I make sure I don't write anything down. Okay? But how I'm able to do that is I took what Barry told me when I'm walking to play. There's no notes. I'm the best hitter in the world right now. I'm the best hitter in the world right now. It's a feeling. So when I walk on set, if I'm on at 6, sometimes I walk out at 5:55, 5:50. It's a running joke. Jay Hair's going to be late.
Yeah.
I have never been late.
Swag and confidence.
When I walk in, you're getting my best right now. You're getting my best. That's how I feel. And I'm going to make sure I'm not going to be boring. I'll make sure the hardworking person who's worked extremely hard for whether 15 hours the night before or just getting off of work of a double shift, they're going to sit down and enjoy baseball.
You know what uniquely positions you, however, is what you told us in the beginning of this podcast, which is you and your family eat, live, and breathe baseball. You are baseball. So I think you have the gift of being able to be confident and walking with that because you've done your homework. It's in your soul. And I think that's unique and special. And you can see it when you're live. It's fun to listen to you.
But also too, there's a lot of people that know a lot of things about baseball that can't do that, right? Like,
that don't have the confidence, don't have the mentality.
That have more talent than you, I would imagine, that didn't play Major League Baseball. Right? There's a lot of people that are not
any sport
or anything in business. So I love the idea of like maximizing. So can you apply that to everything? Meaning being a father, being in a relationship, being a son. I mean, like that can use because if people get stuck and just what you're just saying is I'm batting 130, but I ended up at 303 because I just told myself I'm the greatest motherfucker on sitting up here. Can I do it in every single thing? I'm, as
a father, listen, I have 3 amazing kids. I'm a co-parent with their mother, and that's never an easy thing. No. It's not easy on the kids. Yeah. It's not easy on
that's very difficult.
Both parents. Yeah. But guess what? Sometimes life, we're throwing curveballs, man. Yeah. We can either cry about it or be about it. I think that's what I've always tried to instill in my kids.
Flinch or step into it.
Yeah. And I try to instill in my kids that sometimes in life things aren't going to go your way. Listen, your parents are divorced, okay? Nobody wanted that, okay? But life happens sometimes, you know. I wish they didn't have to go through it, but as they're getting older, they now realize, hey, my mom loves me, my dad loves me. We're winning. We're literally winning. So they're starting to realize that. But I've always instilled in them, and I think they've really starting to really get at it, is say, you know what? I can use that to be better in school. They're thriving in school because guess what? Things aren't going to go my way sometimes. I got to buckle up and study. athletically, my daughter volleyball, another one softball, son baseball. Sometimes things aren't going to go my way. I wanted to be a starter. Now I'm not a starter. Well, guess what? I got to buckle up and try to win a spot. So you can use it in life. You can use it as a parent to instill in your children. You can use it if you're starting a business. Things aren't always going to go your way, but you got to make sure you are dotting your I's, crossing your T's, and making sure, hey, I'm going to be the best version of myself. So when I get that opportunity,
I'm prepared.
I'm prepared. Yeah. I'm going to hit the ground running.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Yeah. So now you're broadcasting. You transition from, I guess. Well, one of the things I want to talk about, because I want to stick on baseball for a minute. We can get back into broadcasting. You played for 9 different teams. You said there's this idea of leadership amongst teams. There's organization that do winning a different way. You won at the highest level. Can you talk about some of the differences that you saw in playing for a lot of different teams?
In culture?
And also, I mean, like culture, leadership, coaching, some of the ownership. The Yankees probably being one of the most disciplined when it comes to, like, they just changed it, but facial hair and some of these things. But you having all of that experience, can you talk a little bit about the teams and the organizations that you saw winning versus everything else?
Wow, that's a great question. Listen, first of all, I'm not going to badmouth any team or any organization, because I've learned through each process, each team, each organization. I was so fortunate to play with great leaders. When I first got to the big leagues, my first 3 years in the big leagues was Cal Ripken Jr.'s last 3 years in the big leagues.
That's amazing.
So I got a chance to see him as a leader. I got a chance to see him when he finally stepped down and said, you know what, this is the night I'm going to call it.
That must have been a powerful.
I was right there. I mean,
that's powerful.
So Cal's going to kill me, but I'm going to tell this story. This is the first time I'm telling this story. Okay. So publicly. So I just got called up to the big leagues, and I'm sitting down at 7:35 start. So I'm there at 7 o'clock, on the dugout, just chilling.
Surprised you weren't there at 7:30.
Well, no. I'm just soaking it all in, right? So I'm there early, we're playing the Yankees, 98 Yankees, one of the best teams I ever saw.
Sure.
Unbelievable team. I'm sitting down. Cal comes in, 25 minutes before game time. He sits right down next to me. He's got a Coke cup, Coca-Cola cup. Those big, tall Coca-Cola cups. But Coke is not in it. So, it's a certain beverage, okay, that
a spirited beverage, perhaps.
Yeah, it smelled really good.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is what you do to play all these games? And he goes, obviously no.
Yeah,
and he goes, I'm not playing. I'm like, get out of here, man. Get out of here. And he goes, no, I'm not playing.
Wow.
Bro, you play every game. You play 2,000, 5,000 games.
You had that moment.
That moment. Cal could attest to that. And then obviously he had already told the manager.
Yeah.
And he told a guy I came up with, he just passed away, Ryan Miner, who's an incredible basketball player too at OU, played in the NBA. He was my teammate at AA. We got to the big leagues together. Ryan took Cal's place at third base that night. So obviously Ryan knew.
Yeah.
And it was a shock to everybody.
Yeah.
The Yankees came out, gave Cal a standing ovation at the start of the game. Crowd gave him a standing ovation. And
I think I remember it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I watched it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, everybody did.
It went immediately.
Yeah.
It went
crazy.
national news. So,
yeah.
It's amazing. Cal was so humble, incredible leader. And he goes, man, all I did was show up to work every day. This is how I was trained.
This is what I do.
This is what my dad, senior, taught me to do. The Ripkens, if you do history of their family, I mean, tough as nails.
Yeah.
Dad, senior, obviously Cal Jr., and then his brother Billy.
Did you see him? I mean, you must have, but was there something that sticks in your head aside from that great story? But was there something where you're like, man, this guy will play through anything? We're like what was it? I mean, aside from just the parenting or the what he learned.
There's roots and good
parenting.
So that was probably when he decided to sit, because he felt it became more of a distraction. He didn't want to be a distraction. So he just said he still could have played. And that was in 98. And then he continued. The next year, 99, he had an incredible season.
Did he stop just because it was the distraction was he wasn't playing that well and he wanted to just get rid of the streak?
He thought that the streak was taking more away from the team. And he wanted to make sure, listen, I showed up to play every day to be a benefit to my team. That's why I did it. It wasn't a personal thing. Because I'm one of the best players. I need to be there for my team, which he was exactly right. So for him stepping aside, he said, listen, I don't want to be a distraction anymore. I want to make sure, because I guess it became a little bit of a distraction. We didn't think it was, but that's how he felt.
Sure.
You know, so, I mean, who are we to
what position were you playing with Cal? Because he played a lot of different positions.
He played third. I was the second baseman.
Second baseman.
Yeah,
okay,
when I became when I was coming up. So the very next year, 1999, he had one of his best years of his career. I mean, just he went off. You look at his numbers in 1999, epic.
Yeah.
He had just an incredible career. So, a incredible season to go along with an incredible career. So he was an incredible teammate, still an amazing guy, amazing man. Guys like Brady Anderson was always good to me, great teammate. Albert Bell, still talk to him to this day. Just so many great teammates.
Tell me a little bit about, we're from the Bay Area, right?
Yep.
You'd mess me all the time, when I was working with Pablo, you'd call me up and let me know that, Pablo was going to strike out or whatever. It's always fun.
Not true.
I know, I'm just joking. But tell me a little bit, we all know who Dusty Baker is, right? And I feel like Dusty had a particularly special role in your life. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know a lot of our listeners are from the Bay, and I think they'd like to hear it, because I think it's a very special story.
Dusty Baker saved my life. Literally saved my life. Dusty is one of the most generous, passionate people I've ever met. Not just in baseball, just in life. He's got a heart of gold. And, I played 16 years. It wouldn't have been 16 if it wasn't for Dusty. I got into a place where I broke my rib. I didn't know. In 2006, I had it in the back. It's usually a hockey injury. Okay. How do I know? I mean, I don't play hockey. I don't play football. But I ran into a wall and my rib was killing me. I just thought I was getting old. Finally, I went to.
Think about that mentality.
Finally, we're in Texas. A year later, we're in Texas, and Art Howe, former A's manager, he was our bench coach with the Rangers. He brings in a back specialist for him. So I go to the doctor. Hey, man, my back's been bothering me, And he starts feeling around. I was like, hey, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't. Goes, you need to go in and get an MRI. Go and get an MRI. He goes, bro, you have a fractured rib in the back. Like, it's pretty bad. How long you've had this? But year. And it obviously affected my play a little bit. I wasn't playing a lot anyway, but it did affect my play. Yeah. Finally, I get it fixed. But it's the off season. Last 2 years, I didn't play well, and I had no job. Okay. So I'm finally healthy. I go, I can't believe I'm finally healthy. I'm training.
And there's no looks.
I feel great. I feel like I'm 23 years old instead of 55 years old the last 2 years. Now I'm fully healthy. I'm ready to go, but nobody wants to sign me, which I wouldn't blame him because the 2 years I didn't play well. So mid-spring training, I think it was March 10th, mid-spring, I'm kind of a little bit down.
Yeah.
I decided, instead of watching games, spring training games, I'm going to go see a movie. I go see a movie, and during the day by myself, I get a text message from Dusty Baker. All it says is, "You're not with the team?" ? And I said, "No. Call me right now." Get out of the movie theater.
Do you imagine you're in a movie theater? He
goes, "Hey, man, you're not with the team." He goes, "No." He goes, "What are you doing right now?" "I'm in a movie theater." He goes, "Jerry, who are you with?" "Nobody."
Myself in a dark room. I don't want to talk to anybody. Sure goes, sounds like depression.
Our shortstop, Alex Gonzalez, just blew out his knee. He goes, "We need an infielder. Can you get here in a couple days?" I'm like, "I'll be there tonight." Yeah. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. I run home, change, throw stuff in the bag, and I fly to Sarasota, Florida, where the Reds were at the time.
Wow.
And get there. I go, "There's no negotiation. Here's the contract, whatever you guys want to pay me. Whatever you guys want to pay me." Okay? Walt Jocketty today, Crifty was one of the he was the GM. Walt Jocketty was the president of baseball ops, and Dusty Baker. Okay, I have a really good spring training. So much so, they want to put me on the roster. Okay, I told Dusty, Walt, hey, don't put me on the big league roster. Juan Castro was on the time. They were trying to trade Juan Castro, who's an unbelievable, great guy, great dude. I said, let me go to AAA and let me just play. I just want to play.
That's a huge split in your contract.
Yeah, I don't care.
You're going from $1 million to 30,000.
Sometimes you need to take 2 steps back and really lay down a great foundation to make sure you can really thrive. Okay? So I said, listen, guys get injured in the big leagues all the time. I go, Dusty, well, I haven't played in 2 years, and I haven't played healthy. Let me go down to AAA. I want to get some at-bats. I want to play, man.
Is that what did you know at the time you would have been a rotational player, so you wouldn't have gotten enough at-bats?
Exactly.
So you needed reps.
I needed the reps.
Okay.
So it's like,
how many people? I'm curious. If you took 100 people in that exact situation, how many people do what you did as a percentage? This is just a guess, hypothetical, but just
maybe a couple other people do what I do.
Also, for the audience, will you explain? And I don't think you know this, but explain what it's like to be in an MLB split contract. What that really means.
Well, it's millions of dollars.
Yeah, what's the difference?
So
go into it a little bit.
So the minor league contract is probably, I think, I'm trying to remember, this is 2008. I think it was at the AAA level, I was going to make $100,000.
Okay.
At the big league level, I was going to make $1 million.
That's
at the time,
huge.
Plus incentives. Okay,
so not just under $1 million.
I wouldn't get incentives in the minor leagues.
Yeah,
but I didn't care about the money, man.
No, I know, but it's just I wanted the audience to understand that the way it works in the majors, it's you're signing an agreement, and your agreement can say, hey, you can either make $100,000 this year or $1 million.
Well, here's another thing too: is it's a lot easier for a team to release you when you're not making a whole lot of money, than when you're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
So they're looking at me like I'm crazy. If I go down to AAA and I don't play well at all, we can release you. You're done playing, and I'm done.
Yeah.
But I was willing to take that gamble, take that risk, okay? Because I knew me. I knew what I was going to do.
Goes back to confidence in what we're talking about.
So they thought I was crazy. I said, let me go down there, get reps, and I want to enjoy playing again. You know, I haven't played in 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, really. So go down to AAA. I hit 421 for the 3.5 weeks that I'm there. Okay.
Because you're the best
Locked
motherfucker. Barry Bonds there.
421 at a pro level. I mean, this isn't college ball. These guys are all pros.
I was locked in. Locked in.
Awesome.
And I knew that now that I literally said to myself, now that I'm healthy for what the type of player I am, they're going to feel my pain, the pain that I felt for 2 years, the opposition, you know.
Wow.
You call up to the big, somebody gets hurt, Jair, you're up.
Wow.
I actually hit a home run in Toledo off the scoreboard. As I'm rounding third base, our manager, who's the third base coach, you're going to the big leagues. You know, like,
you're kidding.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah,
That's out of a movie.
Yeah, you're going to the biggest. And then I was like, about time.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I think I can succeed.
Feel really good. So, listen, I got to the big leagues. You know, great team. Cal Ripken Jr.'s on that team. He hit third. I led off. And it was probably one of my favorite seasons, because where I came from, ended up hitting 326 that year.
Wow.
My highest batting average of my career. Stole bases, got on base. I was actually on base when Cal Ripken Jr. hit his 600th home run. So I got a chance to be at home waiting for my favorite player growing up
to come
give him a hug. High five
that's just phenomenal
for his 600th home run. So it was a great year, but it doesn't happen without Dusty Baker.
Yeah.
Dusty called me.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I think it's just a unique story.
And
it's super special.
I owe Dusty everything, man.
Yeah.
He called me.
That's awesome.
Is there like other things that you think of when you think about taking a step back to take 2 steps forward? Like that, did Dusty help craft that for you, or was that something just your
He thought I was crazy.
Yeah, right? Like I think a lot of people, like I'm listening to that story, and it's like a lot of times people take the money or the prestige of being on the MLB roster. There's so few times, like I don't know that I've ever heard a story like that, but whether it be business, like a lot of times when I tell people coming out of college, I say, listen, don't look for the biggest number. Like the difference between $70,000 and $90,000, right, in your first job immaterial. It's who are you going to be surrounded by, and what are you going to be learning? What system are you going to be in? Like, there's so many times people chase the dollars, and I'm not saying there's a time and a place for that. I totally agree.
For sure.
But when I hear someone at that stage and that level say, you know what, I know myself. I have to have self-awareness. I need the reps.
There it is right there. I need the reps. So whether you're a comedian, right? So I don't care if you're Eddie Murphy. I don't care if you're Kevin Hart. A lot of these guys, the best comedians say this all the time, they'll test out their material, right, at a smaller club to see what hits. Yeah. You know, Deion Cole, okay, this hits, this hits, this hits. So if it hits here, I'm going to use this on my Netflix special.
Sure.
On the biggest stage in Chicago or the biggest stage in LA. So in the business world, right, you got to go through some trial and error a little bit to see what plays. So if I'm going to present my business to 5 people, okay, here, this pops. Okay, now I can really present it to if I'm going to speak to a large audience.
And certainly if you have a product that people want, right? Let's say you have 5 people that are making you an offer. I mean, that's something to be said too. You want to have a strategic partnership, perhaps. Yes. I mean, all of a sudden you start thinking bigger and bigger as you succeed more. You start valuing the deal a little differently. It's not necessarily the biggest dollar, although obviously sometimes it's maybe just about the bottom line. But for the most part, I've seen you grow in business. It's not always, you're like, no, I want this to be right. Everything has to fit.
Has to be right.
I can afford now to look for a good fit. And it might be a luxury. Yeah. I don't know, but it's
so it's kind of like I have friends in the business world. I'm in business as well, and they always say, "Hey, man, this is the big leagues, bro. Let's get this done."
Yeah.
Where do you think they got that analogy from? It's the big leagues.
Yeah.
So I know if I hadn't played in 2 years and I want to make sure that I'm right, I don't just walk into the big leagues unless I am prepared, because you can be embarrassed. TV makes Major League Baseball look easy. You step in that box, those dudes know what they're doing. They know where to throw it, movement,
just the
velocity.
Ball moving. I just don't like that. I
know that, you know, if I'm a prize fighter, right? If I'm going for the trying to beat the heavyweight championship, get the championship belt, I'm going for a title fight. I ain't gonna fight him the first time. Yeah. I got to go through it and get some rounds under my belt and fight a little bit lesser fighters to get sharp. Now I'm ready to fight in the big leagues or for the heavyweight championship of the world.
Talk a little bit about what you're doing. You mentioned that you're in business as well. Talk a little bit about
talk about your agency. I mean, it's a very successful
sports and agency.
Yeah.
Is that the name of it?
So I have 2 agencies now. 2 agencies, I should say. We started, my cousin and I, Charles Hairston, who does a terrific job.
He does.
We started Culture 39, a baseball agency, about 8 or 9 years ago, but 9 years ago. And it was kind of a small boutique agency. We wanted to make sure that each player got all of our attention. So we didn't want to have 50, 100 players, and then we can't take care of them. So we started small, and we started to build. It became really successful. We got some players in the big leagues. We got some players in the minor leagues. Now with NIL, we got players in college baseball as well. So as we're rolling, you know, basically no overhead, right? We decide, hey, we're really getting in space, especially in NIL. We get approached from a lot of sports. So we started we did just start launch Sports and Image. Now it deals with NFL, NIL on a grander scale. And this guy to my right is going to help run our NFL division.
I'm honored to do that.
He was an NFL agent for many, many years. Now he doesn't want to do the day-to-day operations as far as being an agent, but he's in charge of picking our agent for the NFL to really get in that space, because we've gotten approached by, Will knows this, we got approached by a couple players that play college
big-time
football.
Players. Draft guys.
Draft guy. We have a kid right now who's just played for the national championship for the Irish. You know, so we want to make sure that we have them covered just like we do in baseball. So that's why we brought Wynn on, who did incredible things with the NFL.
What are some things that are similar, like sports to business? Some things that maybe are similar, and then maybe something that surprised you, like, man, I wasn't expecting that.
Well, I think sports, it's all about, obviously, on the field, both, whether it's in business or sports, you got to be prepared, okay? I have more of a passionate for on the field. I will say this, as an agent, I find myself, before we started this, I was on a call with one of my clients.
I heard.
Right?
Yeah, how was your batting? How was your...
Yeah, because it's different.
Shit.
It's almost, I feel like I'm a dad.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Absolutely.
if you ask any parent, when you are watching your kid or my clients, I'm more nervous for them than I was when I was a player.
I like to say I rose 100 children before I had a child.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's like.
So it's different in that aspect. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm more nervous watching them.
Yeah.
And I'm more in tune for their success. I want them to succeed for them.
Right.
Because they're great kids. So that aspect is different. I prefer being the player because I'm in control.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I have no control when they're playing.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Couple things I do want to touch on. You're going to start a podcast soon. I wanted to touch base and let you speak a little bit about that, and then I want to throw you a curveball a little bit. But talk about your podcast.
Well, it is the J Hair Spots. It's on Dodger Yard, and it is going to be on all social platforms. It's something that we'll be able to talk about, not just Dodgers, but we'll talk about all LA sports.
Wow, that's cool.
Rams, Chargers. Talk about the Lakers too.
You happen to have great plugs. I mean, like for example, Magic Johnson is kind of a nice resource for you, right? I mean,
Magic is
your
in LA.
network is unbelievable.
Yeah, Magic was basically my boss the first 3 or 4 years in the broadcast space. I know he's still obviously a Dodger owner, but him and Lon Rosen.
Yeah.
Now it's more Lon now doing the broadcasting.
Sure.
But Lon always head up the broadcast division, and again, so fortunate.
Yeah.
To be around. An organization like the Dodgers that care,
LA is so
care
tough
about
though.
people.
It's people have to walk so carefully in LA versus different cities.
Well, we would be remiss if we didn't ask you about the Dodgers this year, right?
Oh, fair enough.
Walking
Fair
into
enough.
a season where overwhelming favorites. I mean, the dollars that they're spending, how fun is that? I mean, they're like a Rockstar organization. Like almost every starter, they're like Alabama football, where you've got guys that are not even starting that are going to be draftable players, right? Like that.
Yeah.
Like, what is it like being around a team like that this year, maybe last year, and give us some idea as to what the expectation is aside from 162 and 0. Like, this is crazy.
Well, I think, listen, first and foremost, the Dodger organization, the Dodger brass, has done exactly what they said they were going to do. The fans come to the stadium. We sell out every night, record numbers every year. So what they make sure they do, they make sure they have a product on the field that you can go out there and cheer every single night and be proud of.
And that's the product. The pivotal product is a competitive race to a championship.
Yeah.
That's what you
mentioned it earlier, is the talent. You got to have the talent.
You got to have it.
But not just the talent. The Dodgers have always had talent, okay? But it's not just the talent. They always make sure that who we bringing in, who he's signing to a large extension, we got to make sure that they're team guys, they want to win, they're high character guys. Mookie Betts, doesn't get better than him. Shohei Ohtani, humble superstar. Freddie Freeman, these guys are genuine, great guys that you want to be pillars of your community, of your team. So
interesting.
Listen, Dodgers, I've taken on some heat. Last year, we were talking about being as chokers. Right? Now it's like it's unfair. Every other team can do the same thing that we're doing. Yeah. They really can, because here's the thing. Oh well, we don't get as much revenue, but this is what you can do. You can go out there and build your foundation. You should have the number one farm system then. If you're the lesser ball club and you're picking third, fourth, or fifth, maybe the number one pick all the time, why aren't you have the number one farm system? Yeah. Why? You should. You're picking. Why aren't you developing these guys? Because unlike football or basketball, any other sport, you literally can develop your players through a minor leagues and have the number one minor league system, and you could have a plethora of guys up in the big leagues for 6 years and extend them. The Braves have done it. Yeah. Braves have done it. Unfortunately, they got hit with the injury bug last year. But they have a lot of homegrown products.
Yeah.
So if the Dodgers, what they did it right. They made sure they have the foundation, great farm system, great at signing, great at drafting, and then once you're at the big leagues, you can trade for other stars or keep them. So the Dodgers have done it the right way within the rules, and other clubs, instead of crying about it, should basically do exactly what the Dodgers do.
Or do the exact opposite, but do you do something except for complaining. I hate when people complain, and I hate when people tell me an organization or a team can't win. I think that's absolutely absurd.
There's
Ohtani, best player of all time ever.
Right now, Shohei Ohtani is the best athlete on the planet right now. There's not even a debate. He's the best athlete in the world. No disrespect to Patrick Mahomes, no disrespect to Jokic, Giannis, or Messi, but right now Shohei Ohtani is the best athlete in the world. Now, best baseball player in the world ever. That was your question. He's getting there.
Yeah.
I don't want to I don't want to put that on him yet. He is getting there. He's going to come back to the rotation this season.
He is. It's already,
he's pitching this year. He'll probably come back in May sometime, and he'll pitch. Guys, we're talking about a guy who's an ace pitcher.
I mean, that's
throws 102.
And he struck out Mike Trout to win the WBC a couple years ago.
That's pretty.
To win the WBC.
That was incredible TV, by the way.
Yeah.
And helps the Dodgers win a World Series his first year. Oh, by the way, he went 50-50. Okay. So insane. He's now, for my money,
50 steals, 50 homers for those.
Yeah. the best all-around baseball player I ever saw with my eyes all around is Ken Griffey Jr. Okay. Cannon in center field, can go get it in center field, rob home runs, hit for average, hit for home runs. If he doesn't tear up his hamstring, he hits 800 home runs. Yeah. Okay. The best hitter I've ever seen, Barry Bonds, and it's not close.
It's not even close.
It's not close. Best hitter. Barry actually argued about it. He says Tony Gwynn is the best hitter. He got mad at me. I said, I don't know. Tony Gwynn, I don't want to argue with Barry.
I mean, Barry Bonds is the most entertaining at bat you may ever see in any lifetime.
It was so fun to watch.
So let me tell you something. I remember playing against Barry. We're in San Francisco. And I think I was with the Cubs. He goes, Jer, you guys going to pitch to me? Because we walked him like every time.
And imagine the swag of just talking shit to the other pitcher.
He wants a strike.
He's going to dominate that pitcher. He just wants one pitch. Yeah, he only gets one pitch sometimes.
He said, "Are you guys gonna pitch me? You guys gonna throw me a strike?" I go, bro, stop hitting home runs. We got TV too. Yeah. We see you hitting all those home runs in Chicago.
Awesome. That's awesome.
You know, so finally he does get that pitch, and you already know what he did with it, and he's rounding.
Is there something with Ohtani that, I mean, because he's that up and coming mega superstar, and you have a unique opportunity to be around a mega superstar, like we're talking a global generation player, like he could be looked at as one of the greatest players in any sport of all time. So you're around it in his prime. Is there a couple of things where you're just in shock and awe, or that you're learning, or that you're seeing him develop, or that you're just being around him, that you could be like, holy shit, this is fucking amazing.
He's unbelievable. You know, one thing that I didn't realize, and I saw him before with the Angels, but now seeing him, you know, a lot, is how big he is.
Yeah.
You don't realize he's legit 6'4", maybe 6'5".
Wow.
But it's not like
he's thick, right?
Yeah, and he's athletic. Yeah. You know, you've been around guys that are big, but they're just lumbery. Yeah. He's like, can run like a deer.
Yeah.
Obviously, he got an incredible arm. But here's one thing I will say. He's funny, man. I didn't realize he's like a kid. Yeah. He reminds me of Ken Griffey Jr. in that aspect. Yeah, when I played with Junior with the Reds, he was always in a good mood.
I think there's something to be said about a certain player like that has the ability to make it fun.
Agree.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Always in a good mood, laughing, joking, trying to be a prankster, you know. And Junior was like that.
There's something to
that.
And
I remember I was like, man, Junior's always like in a good mood. And I remember, I think it was Scott Hatterberg told me, he goes, you know what? Wouldn't you be if you had that swing?
Yeah. That was a sweet swing.
Can he communicate in English now off camera? But it is hard. We were talking to our last guest about learning a second language, and
he knows English
in a couple of weeks, and started speaking Spanish. He was a soccer player, and in the beginning it's tough, you know.
It's really hard.
And here's I think the biggest thing is that, you know, I've got a chance to know Ichiro a little bit. Unbelievable guy. I played with Hideki Matsui. Their culture is such an incredible culture. The Japanese culture is unbelievable. It's all about respect. So I think even though they can speak English, sometimes they use a translator because they don't want to disrespect our country, and they don't want to disrespect their country.
They literally have poems and sayings that they bless and pay tribute to the sport, whether it's basketball, baseball, any sport. There's literally like this special acknowledgement and almost prayer. Yeah, that's what they revere it,
and they show respect to the older generation. You know, every time Shohei Ohtani would see Ichiro, he'd always take his hat off and bow to Ichiro.
Which is cool.
And just show respect. You know, I wish we did this in this country. You know what I'm saying? To show that respect.
We could use a little bit of
respect to our elders.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of respect, first of all, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to come down here. It's not easy. It was awesome that you're able to come here, and I've had an amazing time. It's been a great conversation. One thing I do want to ask you is, you said you broke your rib, but you're healed. When was the last time you played? What was it? It was like...
I played in a game at the Hall of Fame game last year. At Cooperstown.
And did you hit a ball?
We were taking BP. I actually played. I was in the home run derby, but I didn't see velocity.
Okay, so I'm thinking, do you think you could hit, like, if we go to the batting cage, just make something fun? Like, do you think you can hit an 85 mile an hour right now?
Why not?
Can we try this? I just want to kind
of. We're definitely.
Okay, all right. Let's try that. So, but first, thank you very much. It's a wrap for the studio segment of this. It's been really, really fun. And let's take this to the batting cage just to have a little fun, see if you can still hit.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
thank you very much.
Awesome.
Anytime, guys.
All right, that's a wrap.
These are real batting cage bats right there.
Yeah, they are. God, if you could use those again. Oof. Oof. Jesus. Now that was a hit. That was a hit. I'm calling Dusty Baker. Dusty, he's still got it.
That was the best pitch to hit right there. That was the best pitch.
Get in there. I'll be trying.
Faster than 85. I know what it is. What it is. So when it's in the cage like that, it's 85. But human eye, it plays up.
Okay, so 90. Hey. Oh, I didn't think so. That's fast. Well, you were a good high school player, though. There you go. Nice contact. There you go. That's a good hit.
Yeah, it is. It's tiring too. Walk off.
Woo. That feels good, huh?
It does. Hey! There you go.
That thing's humming. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Something pretty quick.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, for sure, man. Had a blast.
Yeah,
Had a
thanks.
blast.
All right, we did a little something different. This man, turns out, he's still got it. Congratulations.
Actually, we all had it.
Yeah, we
all
had it.
had
We all touched it.
We all touched it.